Hi, welcome to day 3. Are you hanging on in there? Have you managed to think big and create some amazing dreams that you would like to start moving into? Well, one of the things that stops us achieving these things are what we call our money beliefs and our money stories. So that's what you're going to be working on today is, well, what are my money stories? What are the beliefs that are either helping me achieve financial success, independence, whatever you want to call it, and what are the beliefs that are holding me back from achieving that? And this is where a money story comes into it. So you've had a little bit of a play with your behaviours around money, which is what you did in the exercise number 1. You've had a bit of a play with dreaming about where you would like to go. And so today is all about figuring out what's holding you back from getting there and starting and actually doing that. All right. So that's why money stories, again, are another really important thing to do to declutter your mind and really start to be able to go, I understand why I do that. Okay. Because the why is really important. So again, let's talk a little bit again about our money personalities. And this is probably a good spot to remind you, if you actually haven't taken the money personality quiz, you can do that because we will pop a link below that will take you to the money personality quiz so that you can find out what your money style is. And it is a behavioral style. But that behavioral style has come from somewhere. It's come from your upbringing, it's come from your environment, all of those types of things, and it's why. So why am I a spender? What do I believe about money that makes me behave like a spender? What do I believe about money? What stories do I have about money that make me behave like a hoarder? Or what stories or beliefs do I have about money that have brought me to this place of being a money avoider, for example? And that's what you're going to explore today. And you're not just going to write one story. Once you get onto a roll, you'll probably be able to write about 5 of these. Again, you may not get all of them done today. If you can get through 1 or 2, that would be fantastic because that will really set you up to be able to write some more as you go on. Now, the very first story I would like you to write about is, what is your very first memory of money? What's the story? Now, in your worksheet, there's an example there of a money story, so you can see how to write it. And then there's some questions there for you to answer once you've written the money story. And this is important. So it's not just about, I never got pocket money. Well, okay, fair enough. Why? What's the story around it? What was it happening? What was going on? What made you think about that particular instance? Oh, I didn't get pocket money. So there's a story behind that thought. So when you think about your first memory of money, what is it? Okay, so again, I'll give you a little example from me. My first thing was probably out as a 3 or 4 year old, and of course we all wanted Barbie dolls, more girls did. I didn't get a Barbie doll. I got the other version, which most of you will know who that is, because when I tell this story, I get so many nods from people in the room going, yep, same thing happened to me. So I didn't get the doll that I wanted that was the must-have for a 3 or 4 year old. Okay, so what story did I take from that? Well, I took the story that, maybe I didn't deserve it. Maybe I didn't need it. But the story I took from that was, well, hang on a minute. I'm an only child, which also has a strong stereotype that we're spoiled. And over the next few years, I learned quite well how to manipulate my parents to get me what I did want. So my little 4-year-old went, I didn't get what I want then. How do I get what I want later? And then into my adult life, I added onto the end of that, I can have what I want, whenever I want it, whether I can afford it or not. And that was the story that I lived out of for a very, very long time until I actually did this Write Your Money Story exercise. And the question was, does this story work for you? Now, that question was asked of me when I was $600,000 in debt, and it became patently obvious to me, well, actually, no, that story no longer serves me. It no longer works for me. In fact, it's actually causing me an awful lot of harm because of course I'd also tanked my marriage at that point as well. So once I was able to go, that doesn't work for me, the next question was, well, what are you going to replace that story with? What do you want that story to be? And that's where you start to look into your future money stories. What I want you to do today is focus on those money stories that go back. So kind of what we generally sort of do is start with the first one, when your first memory of money, and then maybe look at things like, in your teens, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, things like that. If you can find a story in each of those kind of decades, that's good. What you may find is you've got a whole heap when you're younger and not much later on. It doesn't really matter, but that's just a bit of a starting point. So get writing, write your money stories, get involved. I really want you to engage with the emotions around these stories as well, because as children, we can also hear a snippet of a conversation and we can build a whole story about that. So is that one of your stories? You've actually overheard a snippet of a conversation, and that happened with a client of mine. She overheard a snippet of a conversation her parents had, and she thought they were going bankrupt. And yes, times were tough, but she lived out of this whole story for 30 years, that her family went bankrupt. So she was very cautious about money. She had this whole thing, I've got to hold on to it so tightly because I might lose everything, until the point where we were working together, and she was able to go and have a conversation with her parents about it. And they couldn't even remember this conversation because they're going, no, went bankrupt. We were never even close to bankruptcy in our business. Yes, we had some tough times, but we came out the other side fine. Where did this come from? And literally, it was a tiny snippet of a conversation as a teenager that was impacting her whole life and the way she was behaving with money as an adult and what she was teaching her children as well. So it's a really important exercise to do. Again, if you only get a couple done, it's perfectly fine. Keep working on them at the end of the challenge. Anything that we've done through this challenge, you can always come back to, because I am giving you quite a bit of work. And over 5 days, I am really pushing the boundaries with you, which is what I want to do, because you signed up for this challenge and I know you are up for it. Again, as always, if you want to email me any questions, go for it. If you want to click the link below and book a call with me and talk through anything that you're struggling with, please do that as well. I'm here to help you. And tomorrow's challenge will take a little bit of preparing, so you might not actually do it tomorrow, but let's talk about that when I am in your inbox tomorrow morning. Bye for now.